Welcome everyone to First Wednesdays with Gretchen Heido. Today we're going to talk all about money, and money has so many different topics within it, especially if you're running a coaching business. So we have a lot of topics today for you, but if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, or if there's any time, we will also take questions. So with that, I will give this to Gretchen.
So, hi everyone. It's always good to see you, my coaches, my people. I thought that today we'd talk about money because here it is that we are getting close to holiday season. Maybe we're even already in it since it's November. And you're going to get a lot of clients that you may feel have some money issues or a money story. And so one of the things that we're going to do today is we're going to take a look at pricing. We're going to take a look at money objections, and we're going to take a look at some basic ways that you view money as well that might be getting in the way of you pricing yourself competitively in the marketplace. One of the things that I'm wondering right now is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you in the price that you are charging your clients? You can just put it in the chat. Some of you can unmute if you want to, but how confident are you? Okay, we've got a 4, we've got a 6. Okay, all right. 1-on-1, highly confident. Okay, so one of the things that happens when we are thinking about money is sometimes our confidence gets eroded due to our own beliefs about money. So just really quickly, I'd love to hear, when you think about your relationship with money, if you had only 1 or 2 words to define it, what's your relationship with money? You can unmute, you can put it in the chat. Push pull, much better than it used to be. Yes, Tiffany, that's right. What else? What is your relationship with money? And the reason that this is important is because it's your baseline of what might be getting in your way when it comes to charging. All right, Popper Prince. Yep. Okay. So as we look at this, okay, here's one. I follow it closely. It depends on how much I need to keep afloat with my lifestyle. Yeah. So when we are thinking about money, and we're thinking about pricing, and we're thinking about client creation and what it is that it takes to create a successful coaching practice, one where we can be thriving and feel like we're bringing value, it's really important to look at our own mindset about money. Here's the part too, that when it comes to money, we can make money mean all sorts of things. It can mean freedom, it can mean security, it can mean safety, it can mean that we're valued, it can just be an energetic exchange. Very, very, very seldom is it only that for people. And so as you're thinking about this, and you're thinking about your own ideas about money and what keeps you from maybe being as quote unquote successful as you'd like to be, a lot of it has to do with the ways that we think about it. So here's something that I want you to think about. When we're trying to come up with what we should charge our clients, it really is all made up, especially in the coaching industry. When we want to move forward and pick a fee, often what happens first is the resistance that we feel about, can I really charge that much? Or we start to wonder, well, what do other people charge? Is that too much? Is it too little? And then the question of, am I worth it, comes up. How many of you can relate to that? Just by show of hands. Yeah, most everybody, am I worth it? Is this worth it? Here's something that I want you to know right away, is that there is no amount of money that could ever define your worth. You are worth more than all the money, and that's just the truth. But we forget that when we're coaching. And when we forget that, we tend to slide into our social self, where we want to be liked and accepted by the potential client that we're working with, rather than showing up as a professional that says, this is the value of this particular service. And it doesn't have to be personal. Sometimes we take money personal that, oh, well, they didn't think I was worth it. Oh, yeah, they didn't think that this was good enough, where it might not have anything to do with it. So as we get into this today, we're going to talk a lot about your own pricing. You're going to be able to ask me any questions that you want, just like always. We can talk about your packages if you want to, and we're going to talk about client objections too. So here's something for you to know when it comes to pricing. Like I said, it's all made up. The ICF International Coach Federation has noted coaches that make nothing because they're pro bono, all the way to coaches that are making over $1 million. So it's like, well, where do I stand in that? It can sound like a very small number or a very large and intimidating number. But most of the time, it has very little to do with the actual dollar amount and more to do with how are you showing up with this potential client. And what I mean by that is this, that when we show up and we're ready to serve and we're ready to give a coaching experience, the money becomes secondary. And it's not that people do not have money concerns or money constraints, but when we're not worried about saying our price and rushing to the point in the conversation when we're going to spring it on them, we do better in the space. So let me just pause there. What are you hearing so far?
This is Robin. I heard you say that, when it comes to fees, that it's made up. There's quite a range of what coaches are charging. So where do we fit in, I guess, in that range?
That's it. Where do we fit in the range? What else are you hearing so far about this? Someone else.
Hi, Gretchen.
Hi.
Hi. Where the value of our services is different from our personal worth.
That's it. That's it. And how does that shift things for you thinking of it that way?
I'm not sure how it impacts the pricing structure. I believe it, but I'm not sure yet how it impacts my pricing structure. It makes me more confident in telling a prospective client what my price is.
That's it. That's it. Because what we're doing when we're looking at that is we're taking the personal out of it. Your value is different than your fee. Your fee is just what you would like to earn for an exchange of coaching. Your value, there isn't enough money in the world to pay what you're valued at, right? We are a number that can't be named because we're so high in value. No one could ever pay us our worth, even if we think, well, maybe, not really. And so think about this instead, that this is business. I'm wanting to charge X because that's what I would like to earn for this service that I'm giving. When you can take some of the emotion out of it, what happens is you will look at it differently, and you will look at it in a way that doesn't make it about you. So many of us, myself included at times, we make the number about us. Well, I'm going to charge this because that's what I'm worth. Well, I'm worried about charging more, or I probably should charge less because of the story that you have about yourself. That's not it at all. And so sometimes what happens in coaching is that your potential client has not had enough of an experience to actually even understand what coaching is. So when coaches come to me and they say, I'm not getting any clients. I'm proposing to people, but they're saying no. Typically what's happened is that they've gone too fast. Their process isn't clean. They've talked too much about how many sessions, when the money's due, and those sorts of things, rather than the vision of what the client is going to achieve during the time together. So if you go somewhere and you're only interested in how many times do I get to do it, how long are the sessions, when is the payment due, it's much different than talking about the value that they're going to get from that big goal, dream, or desire that they've been working on, that if they truly could accomplish it, would change everything for them. And so some of this too is technique. And so as we go through tonight, I'm going to teach you a little bit about the technique, and I'll open it up for your questions as well. Something that I want you to remember is that no one likes free. We think we like free, but you do not show up for free in the same way that you show up for paid. You just don't. Same thing with a discount. I know that many people will blow something off if it's free or not show up as completely prepared as they would if it were free or discounted. So one rule of thumb when it comes to your own pricing, especially because it's all made up, is that the number needs to commit the client to showing up fully, and it also needs to commit you to showing up fully. So if you know that you're going to be kind of bored or want to check your email while you're coaching or only pay attention halfway, you're not charging enough. You will not do that kind of behavior if you are charging enough, because you will show up in your most professional self. Same thing with your client. If they're going to show up unprepared and always in a whirlwind and they haven't done what they said that they were going to commit to, they don't know what they want to talk about, you're not charging enough to make it worth it for them. So the fee is one of these things that, let me say it like this, it should scare you just a little bit. It should scare them a little bit. Maybe it should scare you a little bit too, that, ooh, who is this calling me to be if I charge this? Ooh, who is this calling me to be if I pay this and I step into this? Yeah. Tiffany, I see you nodding your head. Do you want to share on this?
I love the idea of who this is calling me to be. And also I'm struck by something you said a little bit earlier, because you mentioned value versus fee. But then when you had us talking to the clients, we're talking about the value. So we're talking about the part that's priceless more than we're talking about the fee. So I really like that you differentiated that.
Good. I'm glad that it was helpful. You know, there's a price for everything, but the value is really different. And that's one of the things that as we take our potential clients through the process, when they see value, the fee becomes secondary. And it's not because they don't have to pay attention to whatever the monetary concerns are, but people pay for what they find valuable. Think of how many things that maybe you've paid more for than you thought you would because you thought it was going to be really valuable. I pay a lot for vacations because I put high value on vacation. I love vacation with my family. I love what it means, you know, and I figure it out. I figure out how to do it because it's important to me. So we invest where it feels important to us. Importance equals value. We are not going to be the value for somebody else. It's the value that they're going to create by showing up fully present, being prepared, and being ready to step into their future self in your sessions that they're paying for. Okay. Something else. I want everyone to have a number and a package that can roll off your tongue. That way you do not stumble when you have a potential client that you're talking to when it's time to propose. You really want to be able to own it. You can start with something that feels comfortable to you, that it's like you could say it easily. Maybe I'll make something up. Maybe it's $1,500 for 3 months. That might be something that for you, you could say it. You could say it all day long. No big deal. That might feel too low. That might feel too high. Pick a package and a number that you can partner with. You're going to feel it energetically. You'll know too in your spirit if it's too low, like, oh, yeah, I'll say it, but I really want to make $500 more, then say the other number. Your clients are going to feel it too. The other thing to consider is you are a version of your potential client. So when you're creating packages and fees, think about what you would say yes to. What's your stretch limit? You know, when you think about what you would sign up for, what's the duration? How many times would you want to see a person? We're all attracting people who have some kind of similarity to us. You know, we're all lighthouses and our own boats sort of come to the shore to find us. So it's the same thing here. So I always create packages that are really exciting for me, that it's like, ooh, I often tell Christy, because we create everything together, ooh, I want to be in this. And not lead it. I want to be in this. Can someone else lead it? This sounds so fun. That's what you want to create. And again, it makes the money a little bit secondary. Now, there's always going to be an edge. There's going to be a point where you price something knowing the kind of person that you want in it. So I tend to work with people who I really want to make sure that they're ready. And to know that they have a level of readiness, they're going to invest maybe a little bit higher than they would somewhere else. And with a lot of coaches, it would be the same fee. But for the person investing, it's calling them to step into a higher container, more than maybe they thought that they'd pay. But what they find is that they create results to make that investment worth it. So let me just pause there. What are you getting from this so far? And will you guys turn on your cameras? I teach so much better when I can see people. So what are you getting from this so far? Go ahead, Mark.
So I'm getting, what's the value proposition and what are they going to get out of it? And not necessarily the price, but the price is important because it has to be, their eyes can't bug out. So I've tried a couple things in my coaching experience, and then I've hit on a couple things that really work.
Yeah.
And early on, when I did some seminars with you and talked with you, what kept coming back is people don't really understand what coaching is. So give them the opportunity to be coached. And I've come up with an intro to coaching package, which is relatively cheap or modest, but it's only 4 sessions. And I've had people clamor. I've had a lot of new clients and I've had a few repeat clients because once they go through coaching, they get it. And it's value to them.
Thank you for sharing that too, because I could have just asked you to share that for the next part that I'm going to get into. People don't understand what coaching is, even when they sign up for the complimentary coaching session with you. They really are unsure unless they're a coach that has been coached before. Otherwise, they just have this vague idea or notion. Most of the time, they think that you're some sort of a consultant and that you're going to tell them what it is that they should do, almost always. And that is so different than what coaching really is. So here's something too that I think is important to lay out. When you are collecting no's and you're getting the objections and you can't figure out if it's because of your price, or you can't figure out if it's because you're not finding your niche, if you believe in having a niche, what is it? What's keeping people from saying yes? Almost always it's that they do not understand the value of coaching because they've never had an actual experience and they're being proposed to too soon. You know, someone is offering them to work with them before the potential clients even had an experience. So they don't know what they're saying yes to. It also might be that they didn't have enough clarity on what it is that they're actually going to accomplish. Because when we speed up as coaches, we miss the client's big vision. And when you miss their vision, you miss everything. When we can go back to the potential client and say exactly what we're going to work on that has everything to do with their vision, they can feel that. Then they see the accomplishment. The third thing, and this one is really interesting, is that sometimes the potential coaching client thinks that they're not going to be able to be coached, that they're not up for it. You know, maybe they're not good enough. Whatever their internal dialogue could be playing in the background. So I've had that more than once where someone will say, well, I don't know, do you coach people like me? Whenever they're asking about that people like me, there's a vulnerability there. You know, that piece of, am I good enough? Can I really do this? All of it, though, points back to slowing it down and giving a coaching experience. So here's what I want to get into. I want to teach you the framework of the best ways to lead your potential clients into a relaxed coaching experience. This is something that has worked for me. It's worked with many of the coaches. A lot of you are on this call that I have worked with, and coaches that aren't here today. And I think that it will work for you if you're willing to try it. Then we're going to get into the money objections and those sorts of things, and you can ask your questions. The first thing is this: when somebody wants to connect with you and they want to learn more about coaching, it's really important to set the stage for what that means. For some coaches, they'll let anyone get on their calendar at any time. They have blocks of open space. They let the potential client book it. and then they hope that that person will show up for the call. What I suggest that every coach does is set a requirement before the person can book that 30-minute or 45-minute complimentary call with you. And here's why. Coaching only works for people who can take basic instruction, right? If a person is unwilling to take some basic instructions and follow through, they're never really going to be coachable. They're just not. So I would have a few questions that you can ask the person in advance to send to you. Now, there's two reasons for this. The first is it shows a level of readiness from the potential client. It also gives you some information so that you can really start thinking about the client's world. The more we know about the potential client's world, the better and higher value we can serve them during the call. Does that make sense? Okay, anyone have any questions before I keep going? All right, the second part of this, they come to the call. You want to explain what's going to happen, because anytime someone's coming to a free call, they're really just waiting for the R-bond sale, right? Or for the multi-level marketing sale or whatever it's going to, they're just waiting for you to name your price. You want to put the client at ease and explain what's going to happen. So you might say something like, Robin, I'm really glad that we get to speak today. Thank you so much for sending me the answers to your questions. We've got about 30 minutes and I want to make sure that we make good use of our time. Here's what's going to happen today. I'm going to learn some more about you. You're going to learn more about me. At the end of this, we might decide that you'd like a coaching session. You might just need some resources, or we might decide to just say it was great talking to you and to kind of go our separate ways. Does that sound good to you? And that way they know that what the layout is, that you're not going to spring it on them. You're not just dying to be able to give them the punchline, and that there's really no strings attached. That will relax your client. As you are asking them deeply about the questions that you've sent to them, you want to be finding out what's their vision, what has been getting in their way of getting that vision. What would it mean to have that vision? And what have they already done to begin working towards the vision? The reason that's important is because, again, it's going to show you a level of readiness. For people who have done nothing except think of the vision, they may or may not be ready for coaching. I tend to work with people who they've already taken some steps towards it. They might not know what to do next, but they've done something. Now, it's not that it's wrong to work with people who haven't done anything yet. They can use coaching too, but just know for yourself, what are your clues to knowing that you want to work with a potential client? And let's pause there. For you, what are your clues to know that, hey, who do I like to work with? What would excite me about working with this kind of person? Yeah.
Can you just go over that again? What is your vision? And then what was the other two parts to that?
What is your vision? What's gotten in the way of your vision? What would it mean to you to have this vision? And what have you already done to start working towards this?
Thank you.
Yeah. So think about it for you, coaches. Who are the kinds of people that excite you to work with, that it would be a clue if they said X, Y, or Z, that these are my people?
I'll take a stab at that.
Yeah.
Well, I have two different types of clients that I cater to. One, I'm gravitating for people who need help with their career. So that's kind of obvious. Either they're lost or they have too many things that they're thinking about and need help with organization and prioritization. And the other types are sort of, I got too much stuff on my plate. And it's all of this is getting in the way of me being accomplished, happy, relaxed, whatever. And that's when I send out a bunch of exercises so they can collect their thoughts.
There you go. So you would know if you heard that this was your person. That would be your clue. What else were you going to say, Mark?
And I sent out the exercises we got from Life Purpose Institute, and those have been extremely helpful. But I tell people, fill it out and use it as a basis for our next chat. And I've had several experiences where they filled out all the exercises, and then I start asking questions. They don't talk about the exercises. They just dump their basket of stuff that they've already thought about.
Mhm.
And that's the basis for the goals or the objectives that they want to work on.
There you go. So it's spilling over.
Yep, emptying their basket or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, yeah. So what Mark tapped into was he can hear when it's someone that might be exciting for him to work with, that shows a level of readiness. All of you should have that. You should know, oh man, if I hear this, that's someone that is ready to work with me. And everyone will have a different requirement of readiness for working with them. So think about that for yourself, because what I'm doing here is I'm helping you step into a really strong professional frame. The stronger and more confidently you stand in that, the more confident you're going to be about your price and your service, and the more confident the potential client's going to be about the value that they're going to receive because of who they can be when they're with you in that frame. Making sense so far? Everyone tracking? Okay. Next part of this is that you want to make sure that this is a slowed down experience. In this 30 to 45 minute connection call, you are not trying to get to know them and coach them and propose and sign the contract. It's just too fast, and you will get a counterfeit yes. I'm going to be talking about that in a little bit. I'll tell you where you can learn more about the 3 types of yes, but you will get what's called a counterfeit yes, or you will be ghosted by someone who says yes when really they mean no. When you slow it down, there will be some other clues, such as when you get towards the end of what you wanted to learn about the client and you open it up for questions, they're going to ask you things like, how do you work? Will this work for me? How do you see this helping? Those sorts of things. What do you charge? You want to make sure that you have some other requirements. So you've all heard me say this in my recordings and live, that my requirements are about commitment and readiness. So when people start to ask me about packages and pricing and how I work, I always say, I'm really glad that we're here. Thank you for asking. I want to slow it down a little bit. I have a few requirements for everyone that I work with. The first one is that you're committed, because this is more than just about money. It's going to cost you more than just your finances. It's going to cost you your time. It's going to cost you to do things that might make you feel uncomfortable to get to this vision that you're saying that you want. And you need to tell me, how committed are you to this process? And they'll tell you, and then you get to ask about the readiness. With everything else that you have on your plate right now, is now a good time for you to be coaching? And they'll tell you, yeah, you know what, actually 2 months would be better, or it is the right time for me to be coaching. From there, I take it a step further and I tell them, I also have the requirement that I like to coach everyone that I might work with before we say yes. It will give you a good experience of who I am and what I do, and it will give me a good experience of you. And then you'll really understand what coaching is. Now, sometimes coaches question that why would you do that? They're already asking you about the pricing. Why don't you just close the deal? In my experience, you don't always close the deal in that way. You think you will because they're saying yes, but it's not a yes in their heart. They're still really unsure. Then I schedule that coaching session with them. I ask them to bring the one thing that would mean all the difference if they could change it. Or I ask them, I hear something that they've said about their vision. I tell them, bring that topic. Let's see what we can do on it. When they come for that coaching call, I'll say, so here's how this is going to go. We're going to spend X amount of time coaching, and then at the end, I'll answer all of your questions. We coach. They typically then ask about the pricing. This is where you want to say something like tuition for this program is, and then be quiet, because they're going to say things like, that's a lot of money, or, oh, or whatever they might say. They are simply processing their feeling about it out loud with you there. I never try to talk someone out of their mindset around money. Instead, a good way to help your client with this is to ask them, what would need to happen for that investment to be worth it? Who would you need to be? And they'll tell you, well, I'd need to be more responsible. I'd have to not procrastinate. I'd have to show up. I had a woman today who wanted to work with me, she said. And then when I asked her what might get in the way of you keeping our appointments, she said, well, what if I have an emergency? And I said, well, do you have a lot of emergencies? And she said, sometimes. And I said, what kind of emergencies? She's like, well, and I said, are they really emergencies, or are they things like you want to go to the beach? She said, yeah, they're things like that. I said, yeah, so you might not be ready for coaching then, because this is the kind of thing I want you to commit to, that if there were an emergency, you'd be figuring out how to still come to coaching. That's a level of readiness that I'm looking for when I work with my clients. She was like, whoa. She said, I don't know if I'm ready for you. I said, that's okay. You'll know when you're ready for me. And when you are, you're going to email me. Perfectly fine. Something else that's really important when you're doing this with coaching too is, after you've said the price, even if they've said yes, pause, slow it down again. Tell the potential client, I'm really hearing the yes. If they ask for next steps and this and that, I know that they're certain that they want to work with me when the payment has been received. But what I might say is, why don't we sleep on it? If tomorrow or in 2 days from now, you still feel like a yes, you're going to email me, and then we're going to take it from there. And what that does is it shows that I have no intention to get them to sign up quickly. I'm okay either way with their answer. And you're really in your professional self, instead of, oh, good, I'm going to get a live one. I better close this quick. We mess up when we're trying to go too fast and get everything signed and sealed and paid for right away. So slow it down, really, really slow it down. What are you hearing in that? Or what's coming up for you? Yeah, go ahead.
There's an integrity that you have in terms of agency, that you really actually, you're there, you're solid, and they can feel that. And I think that develops trust, that you're not just trying to scam them or get away with something, but that you have a certain vision of what you want. And, it has to work together. It has to be a good fit.
That's it. Good. What else are you hearing in this?
One of the things that I heard was even pausing after you get the yes, which I hadn't even thought about. And what that is having me picture is, you mentioned the lighthouse. The lighthouse doesn't move. It's there come sunshine or storm. So I'm thinking you're going to be the calm in the storm when all of this is done.
Yeah, that's right. And what it shows too is that you're ready if they're ready, but are they really ready? It also shows that you don't take on just anyone. Let's both sleep on it. If we're still both yeses, then I'll send you over that contract. It's a completely different way to serve someone, to not rush it. So many times, everything from the people who come and try to sell you solar panels at your door to whatever else, they want it done fast before you can change your mind. I actually want people to change their mind. Better to change it now than to change it when we're in this thing. Because once we're in this thing, we're committed. I am always okay if someone changes their mind. And for me, what it usually means is this: I'm not always the right coach for someone the first time that we talk. You might not be either. Sometimes people have to grow to be ready for what coaching requires. And that's something to think about too. It will help your clients to really expand. Now, if they're talking about the money and you get that money objection, well, I really want to, but I got to talk to, my cat. I really want to, but I have to talk to whomever. Great. I actually asked people, who else needs to be considered in this financial situation? Who do you need to talk to? And I have them tell me. That way it's not like, well, I hope that they secretly take the money from their joint account and then the person doesn't find out until after the fact. No. Who do you need to talk to? And then I will help them with, here's a way to approach this. I ask them to get out a piece of paper, and here's what I want them to write down. Here's what we're going to be working on, your vision. And I talk to them about what their vision is, the thing that they told me. And then it's the strategy, week after week, month after month, for the duration of our coaching agreement. We're going to be creating the strategy that you need to support that vision. Then we look at the fears and the blocks that get in the way of the strategy that support the vision. Then we take a look at skills. We look at their resources, and we look at their energy. They say that they want whatever it is, but where are they really spending their energy? When they write that down and they go back to look at it themselves, because oftentimes they blame it on their spouse. Well, I don't know, I have to talk to so-and-so, but they know that they don't really want to do it, or they're nervous, or the money's too scary. When they go back and they look at that, it's not just, oh, 6 months of coaching 3 times a month for this much money that they're staring at. It's their vision. Wow, my vision, this is what we're going to work on, is my vision and the strategy for that vision. It's really different when they go to talk to whomever. This is what this coach said. We'd work on my vision and the strategy and the blocks and the skills and the resources and take a look at my energy. It's very different than, well, the coach said it's $10,000. $10,000, we need a new roof. $10,000, we got to pay for college for whoever, whatever the thing might be. So we're never leading with, this is the cost and this is how many sessions. We're not hiding it either, but you always want to leave a client in possibility instead of affordability. And when you do that and you show them this with the vision, they leave with something that's very different than just, okay, well, get back to me about if you want to pay that. Okay, what'd you get from that little part?
My energy changed a little bit. This is Robin, sorry. My energy changed.
Yeah, tell me what happened for you.
I think it gave me another way to verbalize what we're going to work on.
Yes.
Yeah, so really good. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, Robin. Use it with your potential clients. It's going to help them too.
Thanks.
What else?
I heard what a level of service that is, really, just to give them that structure, right? That they're seeing what is possible even in the steps that they could go through in coaching, but that's going to resonate with what their real life looks like. So you're giving them something in that moment, regardless of what they decide about the coaching.
And that's the piece. Remember, when we're serving leads to sales. It might not be today that they decide to work with you. It might be 6 months. That's okay. What I always like to do too is have a bookend of, okay, go and talk to whomever it is that you need to talk to. When do you want to let me know by? Because in business, we do have a by date. You know, when will you let me know by? And if they don't let you know by then, you can assume that it's a no. What I typically do if they've missed the date that they were going to let me know is I'll just email them and I'll say, it was so wonderful speaking to you. I'm really holding your vision in the highest regard. I'll send a resource to support it, you know, that here's this that might be of help to you. And then I'll say, you know, for now, why don't we take coaching off the table so that you don't have to think about it anymore? You will know when you're ready. Your excitement and your readiness level will be 1% greater than either their nervousness or whatever it is that they're leaning into. And then I wish them luck. I tell them to, you know, get a hold of me in the future. If there's ever anything I can do to be of service, happy to help. But I never send a just checking in email, because just checking in really means, are you going to give me your money? And you might as well just put that in the subject line. It really would be more authentic. Are you going to give me your money? And if I got that, then I could be like, oh yeah, no, well, I don't know. But that's what we all mean. Just checking in. No, you're not. Are you going to give me your money? Will I get your money? That's what you're asking. The answer is no, you won't get their money. They didn't email you. They don't want to work with you right now for whatever reason. But if you've done a slow down experience where you've done the connection call, you've given them a coaching session, maybe even another coaching session. Sometimes with clients that I want to work for a year, I will give them 1 or 2 sessions before proposing, if that's what makes sense. You followed up with a resource. It's great. You've planted a lot of seeds. And it's never shaming people either, like, well, I gave you all this time. That's okay. That's what we do as coaches. That's the model that's worked for me. That's the one that I have really used to build my coaching practice and to help other coaches do the same thing. So whenever you can think about how can I serve, you're really doing your best business building. So I'm going to open the floor up for questions. You came here to talk about money. What were you wondering about or hoping to have answered tonight that I can help you with?
Hi, Gretchen.
Hi.
Thank you for all this information, by the way.
Of course.
Have you ever considered pricing that is results-based?
I have not, but say more about what you're thinking about.
Well, if a client were to come to me and say they're negotiating a new salary for themselves, and it's I don't know, 1 week, they got 1 week to get ready or 2 weeks to get ready, but they're going to ask for 20% a salary increase. Have you ever said, I'll take 10% of that?
I have not. Is it something that you're interested in trying?
Well, I am, but
Try it because it's all made up. And so if that sounds fun to you, why not try it once, see what happens?
right. Well, yes, but in that way, my hesitation is that I assume all the risk
Yep.
because there's no, maybe, yeah, I would have to look at an upfront payment or I don't know. Has anyone else priced that way?
Has anyone else ever done results-based?
No. Okay.
So what I find is that the results are based on the person, that they're not based on me. And so making it results-based makes it then that somehow you're responsible rather than the person being responsible, that, well, if my coach would have worked harder, I would have gotten this raise, when maybe it needed to be a change in who they were being that would have helped them with the raise, or maybe they were never going to get the raise no matter what they did. So for me, I don't know that that would be something that I would offer, but I'd be really curious to see how it goes for you if you do offer something like that.
Well, what I find 9 times out of 10, someone will come to me and say, I'm negotiating a 5% increase. And I'll say, I think you can get 20. If we work together, I think I can get you significantly more than 5, maybe not all the way to 20. And they can't believe it. But then when we start working together, they build their own confidence to ask for the raise, whereas they never would have asked if they had not hired.
Yeah. Well, maybe for something like that, again, if you want to play with it and do that one time and see how it goes, you certainly can. And then you can come up with an alternate too, that if that doesn't work out, because you've piloted it and you got to see the results, then you can do something else.
Okay. I'll let you know.
Yeah, let me know. I'm really curious on that, Tiffany. Let me know.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you got it. Great idea. What else are you wondering about money? The reason that you came to the call today about money, money, money. Mark, go ahead.
Okay, so I've been running what I call an intro to coaching special for 4 sessions for months now. It's one of those spaghettis that I've thrown out the wall, then it's stuck. And I've got a lot of new clients and I explained to them up front, I'm not running a nonprofit here, but I'm willing to give you a deep discount just so you can understand what coaching is. And I'm thinking 4 sessions is about right. If they don't get it after that, then they'll go away. Most people after the 2nd or 3rd session are starting to get the value that, oh, I can talk through all kinds of stuff with you without you being judgmental. And you listen and you feedback, or I get it. So my question is going forward is I'm going to be setting a new price for my packages between now and the end of the year. And I'm trying to decide what that sort of base hourly rate, package rate for the number of session is. So that's what I'm struggling with right now. I have several clients that are coming back.
Mhm.
But you know, with inflation and all this other kind of stuff in my overhead, I'm not quite where I need to be.
Okay. So I think, Mark, one of the things to think about here is, what do you want to earn? This is business. What do you want to earn? What is your time worth to you? What is it worth to you to show up excited and really all in and present for your client? Because there's no right or wrong. You know, I tend to stay away from hourly. I work differently than that, hey, this is just tuition for this coaching engagement is going to be this price. It's not by the hour, but some coaches do work by the hour, and that's okay too. So when you think about if you're feeling like you're not quite where you're at, there might be some slowdown to do here of, is this package working for you? Do you want to raise the rates? Do you want to make it that they only get it one time and then the enrollment to something higher is X, Y, and Z? Do you want to shorten it and make it a shorter package because 4 sessions, they might feel like, well, I did enough at this lower rate than what they would do at a different rate. So there's some playing with it that you can do sort of by looking back in the rear view mirror.
Yeah, I'm playing with this 4-session package too.
Yeah.
I'm actually I'm shocked at how far people can get in just 4 sessions.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, is that, you know, 4 sessions actually isn't that short. And so I don't know if you want to tighten that up and make it even shorter, 2-session package, 1 topic.
Okay.
I'm curious, Mark, what is the 4? What does the 4 session represent for you?
From a length of time or money?
They're the same.
Okay. So for me, I've struggled with this, people looking at me with deer in the headlights as, what's coaching? I said, well, you know, so I said, I'm going to develop a package that's long enough so they can get through a goal or two. It's almost irresistibly priced that they have to try it. And it's worked. And I've had several clients come back for, you know, like a package for 3 months or once a month for 6 months or whatever. I customize it for everyone. But I said it seems to be the spaghetti that's stuck to the wall. And I'm partnering up a couple of networking groups, and I've gotten several referrals from people in the networking group just because it's a short duration. There's not a whole lot of risk involved. And the people and the clients that I have really get to understand how I work and what coaching really is. That it's, you know, that it's not their best friend, it's not their husband, their wife, or whatever. And they get to talk through a lot of stuff, because as Gretchen knows, people, or as probably all of you know, people kind of know what they want to do, and they just need to talk it out with people and get it clear in their mind what their vision is, and develop very specific goals with very specific timeframes to get it done. And that's what they accomplish in 4 sessions. And I also have found that doing a coaching session with someone every week is too short a time. 2 weeks seems to be about the sweet spot, especially here in Silicon Valley where I am.
Yeah, good. So, I mean, you've learned a lot there.
Yep.
Okay. Thanks, Mark. Anyone else have a money question, something that you're wondering about?
Do you ever have an offer expires, Gretchen?
For me, it depends. If I'm running a program, I will have an offer that expires, kind of a pre-offer that will expire. But other than that, not usually. It's more I have a waiting list. So that's, you know, when you're getting booked and you have a lot of clients, you end up with a waiting list. But for different programs, there are some offers that go with it that if it passes X date, then you don't get the add-ons.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's something that I would love for all of you to do. Most of you have heard about my Stairway to 6 program, and that's really for helping coaches who are trying to build their business learn what they need to know about the business development piece of coaching. You all clearly know how to coach, but a lot of times in coaching schools, they don't have the time that it would really take to be able to teach you the ins and outs of business. And so Stairway to Six is a program. It's approved by the ICF with 40 continuing education credits. And what we do is we walk through your entire business. We talk about where to get clients. We create your packages. We create your pricing. We look at your money mindset. That plays a huge role in all of this. And we talk about your ongoing outreach to potential clients. We really help you build a client roster. And by the end of the 6 months, you know what to do. It's not so new and it's not so clunky. You're not wondering like, wait, how do I reach out? What's the thing that I do? What do I say? So my gift to you, I would love all of you to join me for the mini series. Christy's going to drop the link in the chat. And this is going to be, it's a free teaching. There's 3 of them. What we're going to go over is the first one's going to be all about getting ghosted and the 3 types of yes. Anytime that you thought that a client was a yes, only to have them not sign up, like what the heck happened? I know that I have been there. I know that most coaches have been there. We're also going to talk about one that has everything to do with client enrollment and, you know, the best practices for enrolling your client. What do they need to hear? What do they need to see? What are really the steps that are laid out? There's a great handout that goes with that as well. And then there's going to be one on storytelling, because again, when you're trying to serve a client and they're concerned about will it work for them, when you can illustrate other people's results that you've coached with, it helps them to relax that, oh, if it worked for this person who isn't that different than me, it might work for me too. And you stay away then from it's this many sessions for this much money, but everything from the mini series is taken straight out of Stairway to Six. And I do that so that you can see what the program is, what it feels like, what it looks like, and if you're interested in it before you sign up. So if you're interested in that and you want to sign up for it, go ahead. You'll get the recording if you can't come live. But it's something that, you know, I sat in those shoes in class and in coaching school and really wanted to know about the business part of it. So I created it myself. You know, that, okay, it didn't exist, the thing that I wanted. So I went out and I made it. And so I hope that if that's something that's interesting to you, that you'll take a look. Okay, everyone, I would love to hear your takeaway. What did you get from this tonight? What are you going to try?
Oh, I am so going to try slowing everything down, even thinking about the yes, realizing that there's something else that you said that was brilliant, that sometimes they have to grow to be ready.
Yeah.
So I'm looking out for that ready.
Good, good. Who else? What are you going to try or what did you get? Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's about being uncomfortable, that's okay. And there might be a little uncomfortable and that's still okay if you've already proven the value on some level.
Yeah, good. Uncomfortable is sometimes the exact place a person needs to be to really change. What else? Something you're going to try or something you're taking away? All right. Well, it was really good to see all of you tonight. I am wishing you the very best for November, hoping to see you all at December's first Wednesdays and at that mini series. If you have questions in between, reach out to that Coaching for Coaches community and really be a part of it. You know, you can ask your questions there. I'll always get on and answer. And just wishing you all the best tonight. Have a good one, everybody.
Thank you.
too. Thank you so much.
Take care.
See you in December. Bye.
See you in December. Take care.
Bye.